Well, good morning, good afternoon, Paradigm Sisters. So grateful that you're here. And this month of February 2022, where our topic for February on Transformation Tuesday is overcomers. I wonder what that means. Well, remember that we were talking about the serenity prayer at the beginning of the month, you know. Let's just start out like everyone taking a deep breath, and let's just say let's say the serenity prayer together, okay? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Okay, so this is our third Transformation Tuesday in February. And so I thought it would be really cool to come in and boom, give you a quote and have everyone come up with their own overcoming stories. Because whenever we're faced with a challenge, if we have one where we remember the past, where whatever it was tool we used got us through a situation and we grew, that's what you're using, okay? So let me just tell you a little bit how we're going to do this, and let me tell you a personal story of what actually is going on for me in my mind this week. So last week, I everything was going great. Everything is going great. We're on top of the world. Everybody's in their own place. Everything's going good, and I got a call. From my daughter. Is anybody here, when you get those calls, your heart kind of skips a beat and you kind of like, not really, I love it when they're good calls. Well, this really was in a weird time of day. And I took a deep breath, knowing, and I used this quote that I'm going to show you and was able to listen as she proceeded to tell me that my grandson's dog, who he's loved and has gotten through so many things, was killed, and she was. It was a mess. Let's just say that. And it was one of those everything going good and then boom, everything falling apart. And so, in the moment, as what I've learned over the years, it's to listen, not to stop that. It's to listen. And then in my mind, as the receiver, I was using this quote. And also, I used the tools that I've learned for me is to press the pause button. I have an internal pause button right here on our heart. Pressing that heart button and knowing that, oh, I'm breathing, and oh, she's breathing, oh, this is part of a growth spurt, another one, and press the pause button and breathing. And when I could change my state and knowing that that's what's going on in the universe, things unfolded. So let me just show you. So right here, I'm going to pop this up. And this is a something that I want to show you the quote. So just take a moment, and what does that word overcomers mean to you? I know you've all seen people overcoming things, and maybe you thought, well, that was easy for them. But each one of you has overcome, and overcome, and made it through. So this is the quote that I wanted to focus on, and this is from a little book called Your Invisible Power by Genevieve Behrend. And I really love this. It took me a while, it still does, to get my mind wrapped around this. So I'm going to read it really slowly and see what this means to you. Okay? My mind is a center of divine operation. Let's just look at that. In other words, your mind and your spirit's mind are a divine, you're operating. And that divine operation is always for expansion and fuller expression. Might not look like it in the moment, but I can say this, I was able to say this. The divine operation is always for expansion and fuller expression. So this means the production of something beyond what has gone before, something entirely new, not included in that past experience, but proceeding out of it by an orderly sequence. And that took me a little while, it still does. Okay, so what if when everything's falling apart, it's really falling together? What if everything had to fall apart in order for the new to come out? And I just wanted to throw that to there, and then take a deep breath in. And what I would love to have you do is I'm going to take about a minute here and play and pick up your pen or everything and write down what it was that you overcame. What happened where you were in that moment? Okay. And then, where was your defining moment, that moment where you made a decision that things were going to change? Or that this is it, where you were overcoming and you were stepped overing a boundary. And then write down what it's like now. So I'm going to be quiet, pick up your pens and write. There you go. Pull something out of the past where all the odds maybe were against you in the common hour thinking. And you pulled up this something inside of you where you knew that you were far more powerful and contained more potential than anything, any circumstance, situation, or condition. Where was that moment? And when you stepped over there, what was that like? Everything was new. And where that has led you to now. There you go. All right? Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to invite one of my good buddies, Carol Pitner, coming in here to come on and unmute yourself. And I love it, Carol. Carol, come in. Your name, where you're from. You know what I love about Carol? You've got your February calendar right up there. You know where you're going. Just unmute yourself, and we're going to come in here. There she is. There it is. Hi. So, your name, where you're from, and a little story about overcoming. Yeah.
My name is Carol Pitner. I live in Chowchilla, California, which is in the Central Valley. And there's been a lot of these moments for me of overcoming, but the one that came to my mind was I quit high school in my junior year because I just wasn't grasping what was happening. And I just felt that I wasn't a student that could learn. Anyway, I never told my children that because it was important for me for them to graduate and to have that behind their belt. So if they decided to go to college or do something, they'd have that. So I never told them. And when my son graduated, when both of them had graduated, this little voice said to me, "It's your turn." And I thought, my turn? And it just said, yes, it's your turn. You need to get your diploma. And that was very fearful for me because I had told myself all this time that I just couldn't learn. So I decided to find out what I had to do. And so I went to the adult education and found out that I could take a GED test. And so they recommended that I go and take these individual tests just to see where I was and what I really needed to focus on in order to take the test and make it good. So I went and I was so fearful. I mean, I was just fearful. And I went and I sat down and I took those tests and I was in tears when the lady looked at him and said, "You don't need to do any other studying. You're going to pass very easily." So I went the day that it came and I took the tests and I had a little chip from my group that I was in. And I sat there and I took the test, and it was unbelievable to me that the score was as high as it was and that I could learn. So um, that prompted me to go to junior college. So I did. And the day I went and registered, it was the last day of registration. I had no idea and I didn't know what to do. So I asked this young man for help, and he so graciously helped me to fill out all the forms. And I got into the 3 or 4 classes that I had signed up for. And it amazed me that I got A's in all my classes. So that was a big, big overcoming for me. And then I became kind of a student that didn't want to quit. Learning was fun and I knew I could. So that is probably the most memorable of my overcomings.
That is so beautiful. What a beautiful story. So, could you tell us, one, what the voices that were saying you couldn't do, what they were saying, and then what was the voice, or what? I know you said the little chip. What was there something on the chip, or what was it? Just something physical? Tell me about a tool. I know. I mean, I just know in Paradigm Shifter, there's, for me, it was older than average going in, and oh my god. And then what I did is I just, it was like I made it a must. I must do it. I couldn't put it off. So tell me more about your voices, and maybe a tool that you used.
Well, the voices for me, I had joined AA, and so that helped me a great deal. And the tool that I used was automatic writing.
Tell me more. What's that?
I just I don't know how it started. I didn't even know I could do it. And I just sat down and I wrote a letter to God. And I just put in there that I was afraid and that I didn't comprehend and retain information. And so uh, that was very fearful for me. So I wrote this letter, and I'm right-handed. So when I decided, well, I want to know that somebody else is writing and not me personally. And so I started writing backhand, which is just, I don't know how to explain what backhand is, but I could hardly read it. But I started writing, and all these words were coming, and I didn't even know what I was writing. And then when I sat down and really looked at it, it was it was God telling me who I was, that I was more than that fear, and that I could do anything with his help and with him with me. And so I think that's the biggest tool I had at that time, was the automatic writing.
Oh, what perfect. Perfect, perfect. So tell us about right now in your life. That was yours right now, and what having that courage to do back then has taken you to your courageous self now.
Oh, definitely. Because I do know that I am capable. I do know that I can learn. I do know that I'm better than I thought I was. And so listening to those little voices, they come up, but being in support groups and having mentors and things like that, and the people that you're engaged with in those groups, you learn that that you have so many resources that can help you to realize that you don't need to listen to those little voices. They might always come up, but it seems like over time, um, they're a little quieter. But then I got to a point where those little voices stopped, but other voices come up that just kind of try to take over. So to me, I think it's very important that you belong to groups that you feel vulnerable in, that you can be who you are, and that you're accepted and loved, and and learn other tools that help you to realize you can do anything that you want to do.
Yes. Oh, I love it. What a great story. Thank you so much, Carol. I love it. Thank you so much. You just popped in here, wrote down, boom. I love it. And so let's take a deep breath into that story that Carol just told. Where can you see yourself in Carol's story? Maybe where you thought you weren't good enough or you couldn't do it. Yeah. And what can you glean? Because stories for me, you could have all kinds of quotes, but it's the stories that let me know that, oh, if they can do it, I can do it. Yes. So let's take a deep breath in here and put a bow on this third week in February. And so grateful for you, Carol, for hopping in here and knowing that, life is in session.
Yes.
Life.
And I think the biggest learning for me out of that was everything in high school that was taught was not everything about life. And then I became a habitual student of life.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And it is that sometimes it's in a classroom, sometimes it isn't, right? Is it sometimes as you're driving down the road in California?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much. And so let's put a blessing on everyone out there,
Yes.
whole universe, knowing that together we rise. As paradigm shifters, we shift and uplift the planet. No matter where you are, know that you are loved.
Yes. You are.
Yeah. And so we've got, as February goes, and, I'll tell you what, when you put out a topic like overcomers, guess what comes? Stuff to overcome. And for me, it gets my faith deeper and deeper. And I love the tool that you use to backhand, left hand, that channeling, channeling answers. Yeah. Wow. Wow. So um, I'm preparing for a master class on Saturday called Optimism. So I was like, optimism, and then all these things are coming up to overcome, where I'm having to just keeping digging in my tools, not digging, using them. I've got so many books, so many things here, and sometimes it just pick one up. So dream big, dream bold, accomplish brilliantly. Thank you so much, Carol. What would you love to have us hold for you for this week?
Clarity.
Clarity. Okay, you got it. Thank you so much. And here we go. It's a great recording, too.